Come on in, guys. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about some of Survivor's most iconic negotiations. Since the very first season, survivors have tried, and often failed, to cut deals with Jeff for anything from a better reward to enough food to not die. The ability to cut a successful deal is a valuable skill in Survivor. Good negotiators negotiate their way deep into the game. Bad negotiators negotiate their way deep into our hearts. So today, I want to count down 5 times survivors negotiated with Jeff Probst. We'll be ranking by how iconic these deals are and lovingly explore some of Survivor's most successful and unsuccessful deals ever. Because these are deals with, or at least brokered by Jeff, things like the Yao Man and Dreams truck deal, Rob's deal with Lex and Kathy to keep Amber, and other iconic player-to-player deals won't be included. That all said, let's count down Survivor's most iconic negotiations ever. The 5th most iconic deal in Survivor history was the result of a Survivor first, a genuine stalemate in a tribal challenge. In episode 6 of Survivor Philippines, Tandang and Calabao are competing for a picnic reward of soup, Sammys, and brownies. The challenge is a best of 3 pushing a giant wooden ball through the mud into a goal, and on the very first round, after more than an hour, Calabao's up, but nobody's got any gas in the tank left to make a final push. Penner opens the floor to negotiations, and Mike makes an insane proposal. Calabao can just win the reward and have their soup and Sammys, but Tandang gets all of Calabao's rice. Now, I know I just said that this video was only going to be negotiations between Jeff and players, but this one was mediated by and approved by Probst, so I can count it. See how I just negotiated that loophole? Instead of rejecting this absurdity outright, Penner shops the idea around to everyone on his tribe, who all scoff at the idea, and for the first and only time in his Survivor career, Carter is absolutely 100% correct.
But I don't know, rice fuels us.
God, even when he's right, he sounds wrong. What's more, artist from Tandang is incensed at the terms of the deal, despite his side obviously coming out ahead, blinded by his hatred of Mike, which, knowing what we know now, seems downright prescient. Nonetheless, Probst approves the deal and Penner convinces his tribe to take it, banking on an upcoming merge and his own ability to catch fish, which, it would appear, he wildly oversold. The 4th most iconic negotiation in Survivor history took place all the way back in Season 2. At the final 7 of Survivor Australia, things are looking bleak for the Barramundi tribe. They're out of rice, fish keep eating their fish hooks, the water level at their camp is rising to an alarming degree, and Keith's expending all his calories and his tribe's patience, spending all day, chasing grasshoppers. At the immunity challenge, Jeff notices that the tribe's energy is practically non-existent, so he actually shows up at camp with a can of rice and opens the floor to offers. This actually feels like a genuine negotiation, with both sides making offers and counter-offers, until everyone decides that the can of rice and 25 fish hooks is a fair trade for the tribe tarps and Colby's Texas flag. Look at that grin, he did this whole thing just so he could get Colby's flag. Unfortunately for Barramundi, their camp floods the very next episode, and they lose all their worldly possessions that Jeff hasn't already taken from them, including the can of rice. Keith and Tina actually find the rice downstream and brave a flash flood on foot at night to save their food supply. Nah, Keith, get in the water. Colby didn't give up his flag for nothing. The 3rd most iconic deal is fittingly a 3-for-1 deal across the pre-merge of Survivor San Juan del Sur. I'd be remiss to have a video on Survivor negotiations and not mention Hunahpu and their escalatingly pathetic deals with Jeff. In episode 2, Golden Retriever in human form John Mish loses the tribe's flint. He must have buried it or something. You can't blame him, guys, it's instinct. The tribe barters with Jeff to get a new one, ultimately landing on exchanging fishing gear they just won at reward for a brand new flint. Well, a few episodes later, Natalie finds the flint, and the idea of trying to trade the now superfluous flint back to Jeff for the fishing gear is brought up at camp, but no, nobody would be that shameless, right?
One thing before we get going. Nobody else on
Wait, do you have the flint in your hand?
Nobody
I'm not
else
part
on
of
my
this.
team really had the courage to bring this up to you. So we actually found our other flint. This one hasn't been...
Fantastic.
That's what I'm talking about, Drew. Now that is the burden of true leadership. Jeff can't even listen to Drew without laughing. Never a good sign when you're in a high-stakes negotiation with someone. And Jeff declines the offer because this is Survivor, not the exchange counter at Target. Finally, after the swap, the Hunahpu tribe's almost completely out of rice, suddenly making it abundantly clear why they were dominating the early game so much. A very annoyed Jeff makes them his final offer. He angrily gives them enough rice to get to the end of the game, but in exchange takes literally every reward they've won, all their comfort items, their tools, and extra pot, and even the extra flint, then just folds it all up into the hammock and walks into the ocean like a vengeful sea god. The second most iconic deal in Survivor history is an exchange of actual candy for eye candy. In Survivor Amazon's 7th episode, appropriately titled Girls Gone Wilder, the first individual immunity challenge is the old stand on a perch as long as you can challenge. But Jeff's turning this challenge into Temptation Island in more ways than one, offering food along the way to convince players to jump off their perch. Literally, as soon as he says this, Jenna announces her counteroffer.
I'll take my clothes off for chocolate and peanut butter.
Get the girls some chocolate and peanut butter, Probst.
You know, Jenna, Jeff probably would have given you peanut butter without your offer of nudity. That wasn't like a term and condition of the challenge or anything. Probably illegal. Nonetheless, Heidi joins in, Jeff produces the goods, and Jenna and Heidi make Survivor history. I gotta say, good for them. It seems pretty clear to me that Jenna and Heidi knew they're attractive and were actively using their sex appeal to get further in the game, and were pretty confident by this point that Roger was going home anyway, so this was a fun and fairly low-risk move. Still, nudity for peanut butter remains one of Survivor's most bizarre exchanges ever, and something that 1,000,000% would never happen now. The most iconic negotiation in Survivor history can be summed up in one word: Angelina. That's all I gotta say, and you know what I'm talking about. In Survivor David vs. Goliath, the merged tribes got some Goliath-sized appetites because apparently they're critically low on rice by the final 9. So Angelina's kicking around the idea of bartering with Jeff. Don't worry, guys. She knows what she's doing. She's got an Ivy League MBA with negotiation training. Her starting offer, and I can't stress this enough, starting offer is, and I quote, all of the fishing gear, the majority of all of the cook sets, with the exception of a small pot and a large pot and one knife, as well as 2 of the comfort chairs and the hanging swing from the comfort win, as well as the remaining tea and coffee from that win as well. Anything else you'd like to give up, Angelina? Looks like the tribe's got a couple fingers and teeth left you haven't bartered away. Sure you don't want to trade those too? As proof that Jeff is getting soft in his old age, he counteroffers to Angelina that he'll give the tribe enough rice to get through the end of the game, but someone's got to sit out of this one immunity challenge. That's it, Jeff? Remember 2 minutes ago in this video when you took the firstborn of every member of Hunahpu in exchange for some extra rice? If this isn't proof that Jeff really hates the San Juan del Sur cast, I don't know what is. I've got to hand it to Angelina. Her negotiation with Jeff is probably the most successful in Survivor history, and she even takes up his offer and sits out the immunity challenge herself to earn her tribe more rice. Which, as we all know, she graciously and humbly never mentioned again. Got nothing else for ya. Here's my deal to you. Like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.